Hello and welcome to Chillin' Solo, where I play solo modes of board games so you guys can see how they work and what they play like. And today we are going to be playing Vantage. Vantage is the newest game from Stonemaier Games. And it's an open world adventure exploration game where we'll be dropped onto an alien planet and left to our own devices to discover what is going on the planet and what we need to do to complete our specific mission for this game. Now, normally I would go through sort of a tutorial on how the rules work for a game, but in this case, because it's a story-driven game, an exploration game, it would be easier for me to just start playing through the game and I'll explain how things work as we go along. Now, the game Vantage comes with lots of different books that we'll be looking at and reading passages from as we play through the game. I'll explain more about them when we go through it. But at the start of every game, you're going to take this book, which is called the Book of Vantages, flip it over to the back, and on here is a location. This is location 000. So this is the first location that you will always start at when playing a game of Vantage, and this will sort of help you finish off setting up the game, getting everything ready to start an exploration. So what we're going to do is just going to go through each of these 4 steps here to finish setting up the game, and I can show you sort of how that works. So step 1 says, weeks after receiving a mysterious signal from the Traveler, your ship arrives in the orbit of an uncharted planet. Create the total challenge dice pool using 8 dice plus 2 per player. Now this I have already done, which is this pool of dice here. So it says to do 8 dice plus 2 per player. So for a solo game, that would just be a total of 10 dice, which we have 2, 4, 6, 8, and 10 dice there. So this is our challenge dice pool that we'll use for the whole game. And obviously this will change depending on the number of players that you have. So that's done. We're on to step 2. It says each player gains a different skill. We can select it or we can randomize it and take the matching character card as well. So in the game, you can see in this section here, there are 6 different skills: blue, purple, orange, green, yellow, and red. And they all represent different skills. So the blue skill is move, the purple is look, the orange is engage, the green is help, the yellow is take, and red is overpower. And these are sort of generic names for the skills that we have in the game, and these will come into play later on. So we're going to randomize. I'm going to decide to randomize what skill we start with, and that will determine what color character card that we also get. So to randomize it, the game comes with these skill dice that have 1 side on them for each of the 6 different skills. So we're just going to roll this dice, and whatever skill we roll is the skill we get. So let's roll. We have rolled red. So we take the red skill. So we get a red skill, and that comes into our supply. And then we take the matching character card, and it says to place the card in the middle of your grid and gain its when placed benefit. Okay, so what I'm going to do is take this board and put it here, and this is my grid. Now, this board is an extra add-on that does not come with the base game. Usually if you were playing just the base game without this extra add-on, you would just take the corresponding character card. It tells us the number of the card in the box here, 1440. You take that character card and just place it in the center somewhere, and then that will be the center of your grid, and your grid will be built up around that card. But in this case, I'm going to use this little grid board, and it comes with the character card printed on it in the middle there, and then spaces for all other cards that we may collect, which forms what's called our grid. So it also told us to place the card in the middle of the grid and then gain its when placed ability. And the when placed ability is here on the left hand side, and it tells us that we get 2 of these cubes. These go on here. We have space for 6 of them. Now these are called boost tokens, and these can be used as sort of a resource to trigger certain effects or abilities either on our player card specifically. But I will explain that when the time arises. So on to step 3, and it says each player sets the time, morale, and health trackers matching their character color to a certain level depending on what difficulty we want to play. So we can play at brazen difficulty, which is the hardest, daring difficulty, which is the next, practical, and then cautious, which is the easiest. So if we wanted to play the hardest level, so basically we're putting these trackers onto the track in the middle of this board here. So we have our time, morale, and health trackers there. So if we wanted to play on the brazen difficulty, we would set all these into section 3. So this is the most difficult of levels because this is sort of our time tracker for the game. These resources will be moving up and down as we play, and if any of these 3 tokens reaches the 0, we have to read an entry in one of the books to see what happens, and that will most likely end the game early for us, meaning a loss for us. So by starting on 3, it makes it harder because it's closer to the 0. Or if we wanted to start on cautious, which is the easiest difficulty, we set them all to 6 right at the top there. And that would give us a lot more time and make it a bit easier for us. But what we're going to do is start on the suggested difficulty in the rulebook, which is the daring one. So we're going to start everything on section 4. Yeah, and that's what we're going to do for this game. So on to the next step. It says step 4, the first player gains 2 skills at random and places the matching mission in the center. We'd see the right sidebar for that. So what we're going to do is get 2 more skills at random. So we're going to roll 2 more of these dice to get 2 more skills. And whatever skill we roll, we're going to look at the sidebar here, and there's different combinations of the symbols, and whatever combination we roll is the mission that we're going to get. And it tells us that we can re-roll pairs to get an easier mission. So these top ones here, where you get double of the same symbol, are supposed to be difficult missions, whereas the other ones are easier. So if you get a pair, you are allowed to re-roll if you want to go for the easier missions. So let's roll the dice to see what extra skills we get. We have rolled a green and a red, so we get another red skill as well as a green skill. Let's go into our supply there. And then we look down here for the green-red combination, which is here. So we are going to do mission 1591. So I'll get that card out of the box now. So this is our mission card. And the mission is to start a new settlement. It tells us that we need to have at least 1 shelter. So that is our mission. It's quite vague. We don't necessarily know what that means or how we need to do it. But that is our mission for this game, is to build a shelter. Carrying on this section, it says everyone then goes to location 001, which can be found on the back of the Book of Secrets. So we finished at this location, so we'll remove this out of play. And we go to the Book of Secrets here, and it tells us to go to the back of it, and we have location 001. So it tells us the ship malfunctions. You have mere seconds to escape. So ship's malfunctioned. We're all jumping into an escape pod to escape the ship and land on this planet. So each player now gains a different skill. Select it or randomize it. So we get 1 more skill. We're going to randomize it again. So what skill do we get? We get a blue skill. So we got blue that time. Places the matching location in their location card holder and simultaneously follows the instructions on that card. So we roll the blue, we get location 002. It says each player should now have 2 skill tokens from this location and step 2 in location 000, and the first player should have 4 skill tokens. We are the first player because we are the only player, and we have 4 skill tokens. So we need to go to location 002, and we are done with this one. Now it told us to get location 002, which is this one, and place it into our card holder. Now in a solo game, we don't necessarily need to do this, but in a multiplayer game, every player has one of these card holders. And what you're supposed to do is place it on the table in front of you. Then this card will sort of slot in there like that. And that way, only you are able to see what this card is. Because the point of the game in a multiplayer game is that we've all ejected in our escape pods, but we've landed in different spots on the planet. So we're not really supposed to see where other people are, but we are allowed to communicate to each other, and we can sort of describe what we can see on our location cards. We can read the text on our location cards to other players. So in that way, we can sort of maybe cooperate to try and help each other figure out what we might need to do in that particular area. But for a solo game, we don't really need this. We can just keep it face up in front of us, and that way you guys can also see what's going on this card. Whereas if I kept it up on this stand, you're not going to be able to see what's happening. So we're going to keep it face up because we don't really need to keep it hidden for a solo game. Okay, so we read the instructions on this now. It says, your escape pod seals tight, ejecting you towards the planet in a completely different direction from the others. Gain 2 more random skills and crash onto the matching location. You may re-roll pairs again to get an easier location. So we're going to get 2 more skills, which is going to be orange and purple. So we get an orange and a purple skill. And then we find the orange and purple combination, which is this one, which is taking us to location 387. So we're going to get rid of this and get location 387. And this here is location 387. Okay, have a little look at that. So we're in the sort of a grassy area, field area with a little stone path. There's some sort of bridge or something off in the distance where the mountains. Yeah, that's what we can see. So that's our location to start with. So now we can pretty much, this is the start of the game now properly. We've landed on the planet. This is our location. We can get going. So on our turn, we can take one of 3 different types of actions. We can either take a location action. So if we have another closer look at our location, each location will come with a list of different actions on the side here. This one comes with follow, scan, hire, build, extract, and hunt. And each of these actions is related to one of the 6 skills in the game. So we can choose to do one of these actions. When we take one of these location actions, what we're going to do is, depending on the action we take, we're going to take the corresponding book. So, for example, if we chose to do follow, which is the blue move action, we would take the blue move storybook, and we look at the number of our current location, which is 387. We find section 387 in the storybook, read it, and do whatever it says. When you do an action and look at the storybook, it is likely going to give you a test to complete. And I will explain the tests when we get into doing one to start with. So that's the first kind of action you can do, is a location action. The second kind of action you can do is a card action. So if we look at cards that we have gathered, so we have our character card and our mission card, these also come with little actions on them as well. So we take a closer look at our mission card, for example. Our mission card comes with 4 different actions: pivot, research, plead, and hone. And we can do one of those actions, or we can do one of the actions that's printed on our character card, or any other card that we may have collected that's in our grid that have actions on them. We can take an action there as well. So location action or card action, or the third thing is to do a depart action. Basically what a depart action is we look at the top right of our location, like a little sort of compass, and we choose a direction to move in. And then that's going to effectively take us to a new location. And I'll explain a bit more how the depart action works when we take it. So that's it. You choose one of those 3 actions, you do it, and then play would pass to the next player if you would play a multiplayer game. But in our case, we're just going to keep taking actions until we have completed our mission. So let's get into taking actions. And I think what we're going to do is take one of the location actions while we're here. Now, when we take a location action, we have, again, like I said, we have to go into the book to read what the action says. But the general rule is that you are only ever allowed to take 1 action per location for the entire game. So for this location in 387, we choose one of these 6 actions, do that action, and then we can never in future turns do another action on this location card. Even if we were to leave this location and come back to it later in the game, we still are not allowed to take any extra actions on this card. It is 1 and 1 only. Unless, when you take that action, it specifically tells you in the passage that you are allowed to continue on to do another action. So let's have a look at the card. Let's read the text in the card to see what's going on in our location. It says, in the distance, a herd of animals grazes in a verdant valley. You can't tell whether the sweet smell is coming from them or the nearby flowers. So, the actions we can do. We can follow, which I guess would be following the animals maybe. We can scan, we can have a look around the area. We can hire, don't know who we would be hiring, or what we would be hiring. We can build something, we can extract something, or we can hunt the animals, I suppose. So what we would try and do is see if any of these actions may lead us towards possibly something that may help us towards building a shelter and completing our mission. I wouldn't necessarily think that any of these would do that. I mean, we could build, but we don't know what we're actually building. But we could try it to see what happens, maybe. Now, as I said, each of these actions is linked to one of the skills in the game. And if we have skill tokens matching the action that we take, we can use these skill tokens to make whatever test we may be doing in the action a bit easier. So because we have 2 red tokens, it might mean that the red, we might want to take the red action because we know that'll be the easiest one for us to complete with our red tokens. Or we just do whichever one we feel looks good or we think might help us the most. So what I'm going to do, I'm going to build, just because that one seems the closest to doing something towards the mission. It probably won't, but we'll give it a go anyway. So I'm going to take the build action. So this is a green action, so I take the green storybook, which is the help storybook. So I'm helping someone here, or something. And we go into passage 387 in the book. Okay, so passage 387. So this is how the text or paragraphs look in the book. First, it tells you the number of the passage you're reading, 387. Then there will be a number in a hexagon. This number then tells you the difficulty of the test that you're going to be doing. So in this case, we're doing a test of 2. This number tells us how many dice we're going to be rolling for the test. So the lower the number, the easier the test is, because we want to roll fewer dice. So in this case, we were going to do a 2-die test, and it says that we're going to build a farm in the valley. Oh, there we are. So that's what we're trying to do, is build a farm in the valley. And we're going to roll 2 dice to do it. So we're going to get rid of these 2 skill dice. So we're going to use 2 of these challenge dice. Now let's have a quick look at these challenge dice. On these challenge dice, there is one side that has the morale symbol, one side that has a health symbol, and one side that has the time symbol, which relate to these tokens here. If we are to roll that during a test, so if we were to roll the time, for example, that means we would lose 1 time. And then this dice would go into our penalty box there. Every time you take dice to use a test, it always comes out of the challenge pool, and then when you use the dice, they go into the penalty box on the bottom. So that's what happens if you were to roll either time, health, or morale. We just move these tokens down, however many symbols that we roll. Another symbol we have on here is called the return symbol, which is this little U-turn arrow. If we were to roll that, it wouldn't penalize us in the sense that it's going to move our tokens down. All it does is, instead of placing the dice in the penalty box, we just simply return it back to the challenge dice pool. And that's all it does for us. And that could be a good or bad thing depending on how we want to play it. And this will come apparent more as to why we want to do those things as we go through the game. Then the last 2 sides of the die both have this symbol on it. The little line, which is effectively the blank side. So if we roll that, that's the best we could hope for. It doesn't penalize us. We just put that into the penalty box without any effect. So because these dice come with penalties, this is why we want to roll less dice, because the more dice we roll, the more risk we have of taking penalties. So because we're doing a 2-dice test, it's a fairly easy test. We only have to roll 2 dice. But before we roll these dice, we could, if we want to, spend skill tokens of the matching color of the action that we're taking. So in this case, we're doing the green action. We can spend 1 green token to remove 1 dice from our pool, and instead just roll the 1 dice. So we could do that if we wanted to, but in this case, 2 dice is not too bad, so I think I'm just going to roll the 2 dice and see what happens. So this is our test. We're going to roll the 2 dice. There we are. So we have rolled a blank and we've rolled a return. So no real penalties there. The blank just goes into the penalty dice box, and then the return returns that dice back to the dice pool. And that's the challenge complete. So regardless of what happens, even if we were to take penalties, we would still always read whatever the outcome is in the passage. You will always get the outcome and the benefits from it. It's just that you might get some penalties along the way through rolling the dice. So let's go on to this. It says, build a farm in the valley. You sketch out a few ideas of what you might make, including a mill and stables. Gain a blueprint 1296. I think we've got very lucky here, in the sense that we've already found something that we want to build, a shelter. But hey, let's go find it. Gain blueprint 1296. So this is what we've found, the blueprint 1296. This is an agriculture blueprint. So what we can do is assemble this building. So this is a little action that we can do. We can spend 1 green token and roll 5 dice in order to assemble this building. And we're going to gain one of these buildings here. So this goes into our grid, and we can do that at any point that we want. So that's our action for that turn. So that's the end of the turn. Now we move on to our next turn and we take another action. So we cannot do any of these actions now on the location because we've done one of these actions already. So our options are either to move, leave by taking a depart action, or we can take a card action. Okay, so I don't think I want to take any of the card actions yet. So I think what I'm going to do is just depart. So we're going to go one of the directions here. I mean, we don't really have anything to go off which way we want to go. So basically we choose one of the 4 cardinal directions. We can go north, south, east, or west. And depending on what one we choose, we're always going to do a test. But depending on which direction we choose, we may have to do the test may be a bit more difficult. So when you look at this, you can see that in the 4 directions, in this location at the minute anyway, you're either going to have a asterisk symbol or a number. So if we went south, for example, we would go to 386. This is telling us we're going to go to location 386. And if we choose a direction with a number, because we sort of know where we're going, we know the specific location, all we're going to do is a 1-die test to move. And this, because it's a blue symbol, we got that is the blue action essentially. So we can spend blue tokens to be able to decrease that if we feel like we need to. So if we want to move south, we would just roll 1 die and then go to location 386. If we choose one of the other 3 locations, we don't know which way we're going. One of the other 3 directions, I mean, sorry. We don't know where we're going necessarily, and we don't know how difficult it's going to be. So what we would do is the game comes with this blue depart storybook. So this is only specific for when we do in the depart action and leave in a location. We would go again to section 387 in this book, and then there will be in there 3 different options, one for going north, one for going west, and one for going east. And we choose which direction we're going, read the corresponding entry in this book, and they'll tell us what difficulty test we need to complete in order to move. Where do we want to go? I think, shall we just go south, since that's a numbered location already? I mean, we have nothing to go off really at the minute, so let's just move south and see what happens. So we're going to go south to 386. We need to do a 1-die test. We're going to roll 1 die. We rolled a blank, which is very nice. That goes into there, and we're going to move. So these cards are all double-sided, so we're just going to flip this over because 386 is on the back of this. There we go. So now it looks like we're going into a forest. We've come back along this path. The mountains are still off in the distance, but now we're surrounded by trees and things, so it looks like we're moving into a foresty area. It says, the smells of blooming flowers greet your nose, particularly that of the lotus. There's a lotus flower there. So the actions we can do, we can wander, we can smell, we can ask someone something, we can brew something, we can consume something, or we can pluck. I assume we try and pluck the flower. So there are options. What do we want to do? I think what I want to do is have a little wander around. Why not? Let's see what's around. So we're going to do the wander action, which is the blue action. So we'll take the blue move storybook and we're going to read entry 386 in here. So entry 386 is going to be a 1 skill test, a 1-die skill test, and we're going to wander a little off the path. So it's just 1 die, which I think we're just going to roll. We're not going to. We could spend this token to reduce it to 0 and then not have to roll anything, but we'll roll 1 die and see what happens. So we've rolled a health symbol. So right now we would have to lose 1 health. However, when you do the tests, you can put these dice onto cards that you have in your grid to sort of remove them from the test and not have to suffer the consequences. So if we look at our character card here, on the top left and top right, we have 2 different dice slots. If we were to place a dice in the top left, you'll notice that above it there's a little red skill symbol, meaning that we are only allowed to place dice in this dice slot if we are currently taking the red action, which we are not right now. We're only taking the blue action. But if we were taking the red action, we can put any die we wanted in this slot. We would effectively remove it from the test so we don't have to suffer the consequences. But we would also gain, by doing that, it tells us that we gain an extra boost token, which we can put on our player card. This one is, there's no requirement for a specific skill, but there is a requirement for a specific die to go here. In this case, it needs to be a health die that we have rolled, which we have. So we could take this, take this die that we've rolled, place it on there, not suffer the consequences of losing a health, and that's that. Now you'll notice this spot has a little lightning bolt in the top right. This is only for a multiplayer game, so it makes no difference to us in solo. But in a multiplayer game, this means that other players could place their dice on our card with that lightning bolt symbol. But it doesn't matter in solo games. So we are going to place this dice here, so we don't have to suffer the consequences. And that's the challenge complete. Now I said in the top left one here, if we put a dice there, it would gain us a boost token. Let's have a little look at these boost tokens to see what they can do for us. So our player card comes with 2 different boost abilities underneath it here at the bottom. Sorry. The first one is we can spend 2 boost tokens from this card, either to gain 1 money or to gain another blue skill token. Very easy. We just spend two of these tokens to gain money or skills. Or at the bottom here says we can spend 1 of the tokens to re-roll 1 of the challenge dice when we take a challenge. If we were to roll the same result, we would gain a red skill. So we'd roll this heart. I could have spent 1 of these to re-roll that die, and because I actually did it there, I re-rolled the same symbol. That would have gained me an extra red skill. It was a little bonus for not actually, re-rolling into a different symbol. But I could spend as many boost tokens as I want, re-rolling as many dice as I want to try and get off the symbols that are going to penalize me, essentially. So we can do that, or we can transfer a reserved card into our grid. So as we get more cards and our grid fills up, we have extra cards, we put them into a reserve off to the side, and we need to use this ability if we want to swap cards in and out of our grid from our reserve, depending on what we need and what we would like to do. So that's it. We did the skill test. We put the dice on there in order to stop the consequences of that roll, and then we carry on reading section 386 in the Wander Book. So we're wandering a little off the path. It says, among the wealth of flora, you find a vine plump with ripe fruit. Gain flora 1059. So this is 1059. We have found pod vines. So in this card, it's got a dice slot up here, and this one comes with a special symbol. Some locations will come with one of these symbols. So as long as we're in a location that has this symbol, then we are allowed to place a dice into this slot in order to gain a boost token. It comes with an action on it, so we could consume this plant as an action if we wanted to. It's got slots for 3 boost tokens. And as another action, as a free action here, we can spend 1 green skill token to roll 3 dice, and then we get to brew this and gain a different item instead. But that is another card to go in our grid. We have no idea what consuming it would do. It might be good for us, it might be bad for us. Who is to know? Maybe we'll try it later on. But that's our action for this one. We wandered a little off the path. We found this vine. Now, there's nothing else we're allowed to do here, so we'll probably have to move again. Again, we don't really know where we're going. We're just going to have a little wander around. So what I'm going to do in this case is I'm going to decide to go west, because this one is an asterisk symbol. So I just want to show you how that works when we depart using an asterisk symbol. So we're going to depart to the west. Because it's an asterisk, we're going to take the depart storybook and go to entry 386. So entry 386. And it says 386 west, because we're moving west. Now if there were multiple asterisks on here, there would be multiple entries and we'd choose the correct direction that we are moving. But in this case, we're moving west, and it's the only direction available. And we've got to do a 3 dice test, and we're going to trailblaze west through the woods. So we need to roll 3 dice. Again, we can spend this blue to reduce it down to 2 if we wanted to. Do we want to do that? Yeah, let's do it. Why not? We're going to spend 1 blue token and then only roll 2 dice instead. So let's roll. There we go. So we've rolled a star and a return. So the return is always going to go back into there anyway. But at the minute, we're going to be losing 1 morale unless we can do something to change that. I've not got any dice slots available here that I'm allowed to put that on, because we're not taking the red action, so we can't put it there. And we don't have this particular symbol in our location, so we can't put it there. So the only option we have if we want to try and get rid of it is to spend some tokens to reroll. But I don't think we need to. I think we'll be all right to take a hit of morale at the minute. So This goes into our challenge, and we take the result by losing 1 morale. This gets returned into the dice pool there. And we have finished that, so we carry on reading 386, moving to the west. It says, the vegetation thins out considerably, perhaps even deliberately. Go to location 695. So this goes away, and we are now in location 695. Okay, so if we look here, this location has a symbol here. So these symbols are called compositions, and as I said, if this composition matches a symbol on one of our dice slots on our cards, then we would be allowed to place dice in those dice slots. But this is our location right now. We're still at the edge of the forest, I suppose. Another path is leading out, and it's leading up to some buildings in the distance. So there's a little gentleman here, or person, with a cloak and a hood on, and he's speaking to us. That's why there's a speech bubble here. He's saying something. So it says, odd, normally this farmer's pastures are filled with blossom hulks, an animal native to these grasslands, but there's no animals there, I guess. So what actions can we do here? We can sneak, we can listen, we can greet, we can offer, we can steal, or we can shove. You shove him out of the way. I think we should just greet him, right? No need to be too aggressive. So let's greet the person and see what happens. So we'll take the orange engage storybook, and we're going to go to entry 695. That's our location. Entry 695. This is a 3 dice test to greet the farmer. So at the minute we need to roll 3 dice. But we could spend 1 orange token, because we're doing the orange action, to reduce it down to 2, which I think I will do. I'll spend 1 orange token. We'll roll 2 dice. And what have we got? Oof. So we're losing health and morale right now. Do I want to re-roll one of those dice? Maybe. I mean, I can't. I've got no space to put them on my cards, so I'm going to spend 1 boost token to re-roll 1 dice. I'm going to re-roll the morale one, because we've already lost some of that. Re-roll that. There we are. We've rolled into a blank. That's pretty nice. Do I want to roll another one? I don't think so. I think we'll leave it at that. So the blank goes in there with no effect. The health goes there, making us lose 1 health. And then we carry on to greet the farmer. It says, the farmer, wheezing from overexertion, explains that their entire herd broke free last night. They beg you to search the surrounding area to find them and steer them back here. Gain 1 luck skill, which is the purple skill. And quest 1702 and add it horizontally to your supply. Okay, so we've got a quest here. So this is like a side quest, so we can choose to do or not do. It's completely up to us. But it says, the farmer begs you to find their blossom hulks to the immediate northeast and bring them back home. So what we want to do is herd the escaped animals. It says, while we're on location 387, fill this card with escaped blossom hulks and return to the farmer on location 695. If you do, upon arrival, read a certain entry in the Book of Secrets. So it comes with an action on it to herd, so we need to go to location 387, and then I assume we need to take the herd action to do that. So that's back where we've already been. That's where we started, right? 387. So do we want to go and do that? Maybe. I mean, we've got nothing else to do. What we could do, because I think what we want to do ultimately is come up here. There's some buildings there. Maybe that will help us sort of go towards getting a shelter somewhere. So I think ultimately we want to go here, but first, let's go and try and complete this mission, shall we? Why not? So we want to go back to the northeast, so we want to go east and north again. So let's move east. We're going to take the depart action. It's an asterisk location, so we need to take the depart storybook and go to entry 695. So this time, because there are multiple ones, we've got 695 north or 695 east. We're going to be taking the east. So this is going to be 3 dice to trailblaze east through the thicket. So we got to do 3 dice. We don't have any tokens to reduce this by, so we just have to roll the 3. And off we go. Right. So we're losing the time, we're losing the health, and we got a return. I'm going to spend 1 more boost token to reroll the die. I'm going to reroll the health one. That is a blank. So blank goes there with no effect. Time goes there, making us lose a time. And the return goes back to there. Okay, let's carry on reading. 695 to the east. An open plain lies just north of you, but the shortest path between 2 points is a straight line, and you clear branches and vines from that line with gusto. Go to 386. So, away goes this, and we are back at 386. Now we want to move north to 387, because that's where we need to go for this quest. So we're just going to do depart action straight away. So we're back at this location. Like I said before, we are not allowed to take any more of these actions, even though we've gone and come back. We've already done action here, so we can't do that again. So we're going to move north to 387. Because we know it's 387, we're just going to do a 1 die test. Let's see what happens there. We got another return, so that goes back. And we move to 387, which is the other side of this card. And here we are. Back where we started already. Okay, so now we're here. The action that we're going to do is a card action, because we have an action here printed on one of our cards in our sort of area. So we're going to take the herd action, which is a blue action. So we're going to look at the blue move storybook and go to entry 1702, because that's the card number of the action that we're taking. So 1702. So this one says it has an X in the hex symbol here, and we're going to try and herd some blossom hulks. So what the X means is we get to choose how many dice that we are going to put towards this test, and usually the more dice you put in, then maybe the easier or the better the reward you get, but obviously the more risk you have of losing health and other things. So we need to decide how many dice we want to put in here. So what I'm going to do is we need to get 4 tokens. I'm assuming we need to roll at least 4 dice to do that. So I'm going to choose to roll 4 dice. I'm going to take these 2. Now we have our dice pool has run out. So once this runs out and we need to take dice that we don't have any there to take, all of the dice in the challenge dice penalty box go back to the challenge dice pool, as well as any dice on our cards will be removed and back into the dice pool. So this frees up more space here for us to place dice. So that is why returning dice isn't always a good thing, because it stops the dice pool from running out quicker, stopping us from getting dice back off our cards to give more space to be able to help us in tests. So 4 dice, we got 2 there. Now we've reset, we get another 2. And we've got no tokens to reduce that, unfortunately. So let's just roll and see what happens. Okay, there we go. Right, so we've got 1 heart, which I'm going to put here on that spot. We've got a time, which goes in there, losing us a time. And then we've got 2 returns back there. Okay, so let's go back to this. So we rolled 4 dice. It says the giant green creatures are enjoying... It says the giant green creatures are enjoying their freedom and are in no rush to return home. We roll X skill dice. So we rolled 4 dice, meaning now we roll 4 skill dice. For each help result, which is the green, we may reroll 1 other die. And then place 1 token on quest 1702 for each move blue result. So we're trying to roll blues. We're going to roll 4 of these skill dice. We're trying to roll blues. If we roll greens, that will allow us to reroll 1 of the other die. Oof, this seems tough. So let's roll 4 blues, please. 2 blues is pretty good. And we rolled 1 green, so we can reroll 1 other dice with this green. So we can reroll this purple and hopefully roll another blue, which we did not do. But we rolled 2 blues, so we get to put 2 tokens on here. We have herded 2 of the blossom hulks. So that's the end of that action. Now, different to location actions, we are allowed to take this card action again. So we can try and herd again if we want to. Maybe we leave it and come back later, I think. Now we know what happens for the test. We can sort of prepare for it a bit more. Yeah, we're going to come back to this later. I'll hopefully complete the quest a bit later on. So what we're going to do is move to the west to go to, hopefully, back to the farm and see the buildings there, and hopefully get some sort of clue on getting a shelter. So we're going west, so we don't know how difficult it's going to be. So we need to take the Depart storybook, go to entry 387, and we need to read the entry for west because we are moving west. So 387 to the west, 3 dice to trail or blaze west through the bushes. So we're going to roll 3 dice for this one. 1, 2, 3, roll up. Not too bad. We're going to put a heart on there, lose a health, and then we've got 2 returns to go back there. And then back in here, 387 west. The thick undergrowth catches on your org suit, and you finally break through into a vast field. Go to 700. We're going to location 700. This goes away. Okay, so here's location 700. We're in a big field now. Oh, I can see off in the distance there's some sort of building maybe. I can't really tell, but we're in a big field now. There's a big skeleton in one of the fields. Signpost there. It says that there's a skeleton of a long dead behemoth sprawls across the path to the north. So the actions we can do here, we can follow, examine, commune, craft, forage, or dig. So what I think I'm going to do, I have a couple of purple tokens, a couple of red tokens. I'm going to choose to examine. Maybe we can use these purple tokens to help us with that test. So let's examine. I'm going to look at the purple luck storybook and go to entry 700, which is here. Entry 700. It's going to be a 2 dice test, and we're going to examine the skeleton. So 2 dice. Do I want to reduce that? I'm going to spend 1 token, reduce it to 1 die. And we have rolled a morale, which isn't great. Nothing we can do about that really. We're going to have to take the morale hit. So let's continue reading. 700. It says, it looks like the beast was a massive dragon. There's a stillness to the air around the skeleton, and you can't decide whether to use the bones to your advantage or delve underneath. It says to gain 2 boost and continue. So we get 2 boost. So we got 2 of these tokens back. And it says continue, which means we're allowed to go back to the location and take a different action instead. Should we try digging maybe? Let's try digging a bit, see what we can find, is it? Let's dig. We're going to take the dig action, which is from the red overpower storybook. And again, we're going to go to entry 700 in here, which is here. 1 dice to dig under the skeleton. There we are. We'll just take the 1 die. Roll it up. We've rolled a return, so that goes back there, which is fine. We could actually put this, even though it doesn't necessarily penalize one of our tokens, we could actually put this on this space because we are taking the red action. And yeah, I'm going to do it. I'm going to put it there because it also gives us a boost when we do that. So we've got 3 boost tokens now. Hopefully we can use them to re-roll maybe. So, back to the book. Entry 700. Dig under the skeleton. Several meters underground, you feel a sense of satisfaction and strength. Gain 1 health and 1 boost. Oh, very nice. So we get 1 health. So this goes back up to 3. And we get another boost token. Okay. You may either stop or continue with an overpower. 2 dice to dig to go deeper. Then read the next result. Okay. Yeah, why not? 2 dice to dig a bit further. So we've got 2 dice. We're going to spend 1 of our red tokens because it's still a red action to remove 1 of those and just roll the 1 die. And we've rolled a blank. Lovely. So that goes there. Let's see what else we found. A solid material halts your progress, and you excavate a large crystal. Gain item 1160 and continue. Oh, we get to continue as well. So we've found this crystal here. So it comes with a dice slot. We can only use when we're taking the blue action, and we can only use the time die to fill it, but it will give us a boost when we do. It's got slots for 3 boost tokens, and then as an extra action, we can spend a green token, roll 5 dice to refine this into a gem. And we can reduce the cost of this by spending tokens that are on here and we'll replace that with a different card, so we can get a nicer gem, I suppose. But that goes there, an extra dice slot for us. That's not too bad. And we get to continue and do another action. So we've examined, we've dug. What else do we want to do? Shall we craft something while we're here? We've got a green token we can spend if we need to. Yeah, let's craft. So, green help storybook. And we're going to go to entry 700. Entry 700 says 3 dice to craft a basic item from a bone. Nice. So 3 dice. We're going to spend our green token to reduce that by 1. Only 2 dice for this action. We've rolled a blank and a return, which is quite nice. So the blank can go there, and the return goes back into there. Let's carry on reading. Your mind wanders as you carve away at the ivory, and you're pleased to create a charming bauble. Gain item 1092. 1092 is a bone bauble. There we go. So we've got another dice slot here for this particular symbol, which we've not come across yet. We've got a dice slot here we can use only when taking the orange action, and have to put a time dice on there, giving us a boost. 3 spots for boost tokens. We can spend 3 boost tokens in order to gain morale, so that's a nice way to be able to boost our tokens back up on this track. Or we can spend 1 green token and 1 boost token to roll 3 dice to take the craft action on here to craft this into an advanced bone item. So that's something else we can do in the future if we want. Okay, so now we've got an extra dice slot here for blue. I think I'm going to go back. I mean, it's not a big difference, but it will help us. I think I'm going to go back to 387 to try and herd some more of these things. So what I'm going to do is, yeah, we're going to depart, go to 387. So this is, we know where we're going, 387, so it's just a 1 die test. We have rolled a return, so that goes back there. And we're going to go back to 387. Here we are, back in 387. So as our next action, we're going to do the herd action again. Let's take the blue book, the blue move book, and go to 1702. And then we get to choose X number of dice. So I think we choose the difficulty of this test, so we can choose 1 to 6 dice, essentially. And then we could spend tokens. So I think we don't have tokens anyway, so it doesn't really matter. But I think if I was to say choose 3 dice, I could spend 1 dice to remove that and only roll 2. But when it comes to rolling the skill dice, because I chose the dice, the difficulty of the dice test to be 3, I would still get to roll 3 of these dice. But that doesn't really matter anyway, because I got no tokens to spend for it. But what I could do before I take the test is I could spend tokens here. We can spend 2 tokens from our character card to gain a blue skill. So I might do that. Yeah, what I'm going to do is spend all 4 of these tokens. Probably a bad idea, but I'm going to do it anyway. To gain 2 blue skills, I am going to choose to roll another 4 dice. So that's 4. The 3 there, I need another 1. So we're going to remove all the dice from the cards and the penalty box. Get the 4th dice. Then I'm going to spend 2 of these tokens to remove 2 dice and only roll 2 of them. So let's see what happens here. Ah, lovely. We've rolled a blank and a return. So the blank can go there. I'm going to return it this time, not put it up here. Actually, I can't put it up there anyway. It doesn't make a difference. So yeah, blank and a return. We've completed that. So now we get to roll X number of dice, which is going to be 4 because I declared the difficulty of the test to be 4 at the start. So again, I'm looking for blues. I need at least 2 more blues, please. I have rolled, yes, 2 blues. Lovely. Good job, because I didn't roll any greens. So there's my 2 blues. I get 2 more tokens. I have herded all 4 of these Blossom Hulks. So when it says, fill this card with 4 Hulks and return to the farmer on 695. So we need to go southwest again, don't we? We need to go south and west. All right, so let's depart then. We're going to go to 386. We're going to go south. It's just a 1 die test. We've rolled a heart. We're going to put that heart over here. We don't have to take that penalty. And go to 386. And then we're going to depart 386 to the west. Back to the depart book. in 386. So 386 to the west. This is 3 dice to go west through the woods. So 3 dice. Can't do anything to change that. 3 dice. There we go. So, oops, that was a blank. We've got a blank with a return and a time. The blank's going to go there. The return's going to go there. And this time I'm going to put on my crystal because I'm doing a blue action, because the depart counts as a blue action. And I need a time. So that goes there, which gives me a boost for this. So that'll help us towards refining this gem later, this crystal into a gem later on. But we get to move to 695 because of that. So away goes 386 and out comes 695. So it says return to the farmer on location 695. If you do, which we just have, upon arrival, which is now, read 1702 in the Book of Secrets. So we'll get the Book of Secrets out and read entry 1702. Let's have a look. Here we are. The exhausted farmer is so happy for their blossom hulks to be back home where they belong, and the beasts don't seem to care either way. In gratitude, the farmer offers you a choice between an untrained blossom hulk or a saddle. So we can gain an animal or an item. I think I want a blossom hulk. They sound fun. So I'm going to gain animal 841, and then I rotate the quest and add it to my grid. So I get to rotate this quest now. See, we've rotated this. Now we have 2 more dice slots we can use. This gets added to our grid. We're going to put it there. And we also get animal 841. Here's animal 841, the blossom hulk. Oh, nice. Looks like a plant brachiosaurus. So he's got a spot for dice we can put in when we do the green skill test, which will give us a boost token. The symbol here increases our reserve size. So these 3 card plus symbols increase our reserve size by 3. Our character comes with 1. So at the start of the game, we can only ever have 1 card in our reserve if we need to. But now this guy's increased our size of our reserve up to 4. So we can hold up to 4 extra cards. It's got slots for 2 boost tokens, and it says that we can spend 2 boost tokens to make the animal loyal to us, and we replace it with a different one. So there we go. That's pretty nice there. We're filling up our grid quite nicely with dice cards, the dice slots for the cards that we have. Right, so what do we want to do? We can't do any of these actions because we've already done one at this location. I think we're just sort of aimlessly wandering around at the minute. I think what we want to do is going to take a card action on our mission card to try and see if we can get some help with our mission. So the actions on here are to pivot, to research, to plead, or to hone. Now, I think what we're going to do is research and to see if that will help us figure out a bit more of what we can do for our mission. So I'm going to take the research action on card 1591. So we take, it's a purple action. So we take the purple look storybook and we go to 1591. Just here, we've got to do a 2 dice research test to research how you can complete the mission. This action can be performed at most once per game. So we're going to do a 2 dice research test. Don't think I'm going to spend the token. I'll just roll the 2 dice. We rolled 2 blanks, lovely. So they go there. And then we're going to read the passage. It says, your planet is no longer able to sustain life, and you're tasked with building a new colony from the ground up with permission from the sentients who were here first. You lucked into finding a planet that's already well populated so you could earn money to buy an existing home. Alternatively, you could find the right place to build a home of your own. Gain the map of interiors 1256. 1256, which is this, the map of interiors. It's got a let's have a closer look here. So it's got a dice slot up here that we can only use on a blue action, and it has to be a return dice symbol to gain a boost token. Now this one, it's a dice slot we can only use if we are taking an action. You might be able to see it, but it says navigate in here. So the specific action on the card that we are taking has to be a navigate action in order for us to place a dice in this dice slot. There's spaces for 3 dice slots. We can use 2 of them to get a blue token if we want to, or we can spend 1 of them to view page 13 of the Book of Vantages until the end of our turn. Which I'm assuming is going to be a closer look at this map that we have here. It's got a when placed ability, so when placed, we're going to gain 1 boost token per adjacent card to this one. So if we place it here, for example, we've got 2 adjacent cards giving us 2 boost tokens, so we can have a little look at the map that we're on. So I'm going to do that right now. I'm going to spend 1 of these tokens to look at page 13 of the Book of Vantages. So back to the Book of Vantages here. We're going to go to page 13. And yeah, this is going to show us a map of the interiors. So basically, we need to try and figure out where we are. Because I think all of these little pins on the map here are places that we can go to try and progress our mission. So we need to figure out where we are. It's going to be quite difficult because all we know is we were at the edge of a forest. There's a field with a skeleton in it, but I don't know if we're going to see that anywhere on the map here. Yeah, it's going to be quite difficult for us, other than the fact that we know we're at the edge of a forest. Not going to really help us at the minute. However, what we can do is, when we take certain actions in certain storybooks, it will give us a little, if you look back at the map again, it's divided into grids with letters. And in certain action storybooks, before you take the action, it tells you what grid you're currently in. So if we can find out what grid we're in, that'll help us narrow down where we actually are and where we need to go. Alright, so that's that action done. I think we're going to move on now. There's nothing else to do here, so I think we're just going to keep going west, because it's a place that we know we can go to with a low dice test. We're going to go to 694. We just need to do 1 die roll for that. We've rolled a heart. Can we put that anywhere? Yes, because we're doing a blue action, we can just put that heart here. Any dice can go there. We don't have to lose our health. And we're going to go to 694, which is actually on the other side of this card. Okay. That's interesting. What is this thing? It says the ascending arches in the distance could be a treasure trove of ancient artifacts. The south is a daunting climb into the forest canopy. Oh, we've got some arches at the back here, whatever they are. We can enter, we can scan, we can whisper, we can honor, we can loot, or we can cleave. So what I'm going to do is scan. Have a look around the area, which is a purple action. So we're going to take the purple luck storybook and go to 694. Okay, 694. Right, so we'll look here. So it tells us here we're in 694, but in brackets, just before the dice test strength, it tells us that we are in location in grid letter I. So next time we look at the map, we're going to be in I, so we can try and figure out where we are. So it says to scan the ruins for anything useful. So it's a 4 dice test, which is quite difficult. So it's a 4 dice test. We currently have 3 dice in the dice pool. So if we spend this token to reduce it to 3, we would only have to roll these 3 dice. If we kept it at 4, we would have to roll these and then refresh all of these dice, giving us more dice slot opportunities. So do we make it easier by spending the token, or do we get more dice slots available to us? I mean, the only dice slot we could actually use, because these are blue specific and we're taking the purple action, the only dice slot we could actually use is this heart one, which might not be useful anyway. I think I'm going to reduce the difficulty, so I'm going to spend 1 purple token to reduce it down to a 3 and just roll these 3 dice. Okay, that's not too bad. 2 blanks, which will go there. I can't re-roll any dice, so I'll put this anyway, so that we're just going to lose a health. Okay, let's carry on reading. 694. The glint of a machete hanging in the ruins catches your eye, as does the treasure chest between you and the ruins. A closer examination reveals that the chest is extremely well built, and the only way to open it is with a key. So we can choose one. We can either, if we have item 916 or 996, which we don't have, they're both keys. We don't have either of those, so we can't do that first action. If we don't have either one, gain 1 boost and 1 take skill icon, and then go to interior of 546. So we get a boost, which is one of these. We get the take, which is the yellow symbol. So we get a take skill, and then we'll go into interior 546. So this will go away. We are in interior 546, which is this one here. Okay. So, the ruins are overgrown but withstood the test of time. So what I can do here is I can scale, I can search, I can trade, I can assemble, I can loot, or I can break. So thinking about my mission, I don't think breaking or looting anything will help towards that. Or trading, most likely. Maybe, I don't know. We can search, maybe we'll find the keys to one of the keys to the treasure chest. What I think I want to do is assemble. I don't know what I'm assembling, but I'm going to try it. Because that sounds more like building something that might help. So we're going to assemble. It's the green action. So green help storybook. And we're going to 546. So 546. Oof, 6 dice to assemble a building from the ruins, restoring them to their former glory. You may pay a local sentient money to decrease the cost by it. We don't have any money, so we can't do that. But 6 dice to assemble the building. Right, so 6 dice. We don't have any dice, so these are going to get placed back here. And then we're going to take 6 dice. We have 1 reroll available to us with that. We're doing the green action, so we do have 1 slot here that we can put dice on. So we'll see how it goes. 6 dice. It's actually not too bad. We've rolled 3 returns, 1 blank. We've got a heart and a time. So we're going to put the heart here, because that can be for any action. We're going to put the time here, because it has to be for a green action, giving us a boost token on this card. And then we're just going to put a blank there, and then these 3 can return. That was pretty good, to be fair. Happy with that. So let's continue reading what we've got. 546. The abundance of raw supplies in the area speeds the restoration process, and you marvel as an embassy rises from the ruins. Exit to 694, then gain structure 1274. Right, so going back out. 694, and we also gain structure 1274. There we go. Structure 1274. It's a structure, ambition, an embassy. It says use this structure only while you're on its location of origin, which is this location here. And it says when placed, we get a boost token on it. It's going to go here. This comes with actions to hide, to translate, to diffuse, to nurture, to acquire, or to defend. So does this count as my shelter? I'm not 100% sure. It doesn't say shelter on it. Use this structure only when you're on this location, yes. Okay. So what I'm going to do while I'm here is before we end the turn, I'm going to spend this 1 more token to look at the map again, because we were in location I. If we remember rightly here. So, the map we are in I. So we're in this box here. We've been at the edge of the forest the whole time, so the forest is down here. Unless we're in the forest in the middle of the city here, but I don't think we are. We're in the forest here, and if we look here, I don't know if you can see very well, but right here is what looks like a big archway, which is where we kind of are with this. So I think we're right here where a pin is. Which makes sense because we've just built a building here. But what I'm not sure about is if this counts towards my shelter for the mission. I don't know for sure if we've completed this or not. What I'm going to do is, for my action now for my next turn, I'm going to take the hone action on this mission card. I don't really know what it does, but it makes it seem like it would be a way for me to get more specific information about what we need to do or what we need to get. So I'm going to take the hone action, which is a green action, into 1591. So the green storybook, entry 1591. It says, 2 dice to hone your talents for the mission. This action can be performed at most once per game. Right, that makes sense. So 2 dice. The green action, if that makes a difference. We've got time and we've got a blank. We can't put the time dice anywhere. So we're just going to have to take the... Unless I want to re-roll, but I don't think I do. I'm going to take the hits. So blank and dice and time go there. We're going to lose 1 time. 1591. It says... you work on enhancing an ability to complete the mission. Gain ability 1488. See what that is then. 148. So this is an ability card. This helps us build, which we've already done. It comes with 2 dice slots up here. The first one, again, we can only, so it says at the bottom here, specifically we can only do when we're taking a build action, but it also comes with an extra cost here of 2 boost tokens. So we need to be able to spend 2 boost tokens from this card in particular to be able to place a dice there when doing a build action. Or the second box, when doing a build action, we can place any dice there and it will gain us a boost token. And then this abilities down the bottom, there's spaces for 3 boost tokens. We can spend 2 of those boost tokens to gain a green token. Or we can spend a green token and roll 3 dice to do the build thing, which is essentially gains us the result of a build action instead of actually having to do the action on the action itself. So, for example, it says we can do it on an action or gain 1 blueprint. So yeah, it's basically it makes it easiest for us to build. So that's going to go in there. Now we've filled our grid. If we look at the main board here, on the top right, it says full grid. It tells us the first time a player has a full grid, gain destiny 1705. Now, destinies are a little extra thing that we can do. So this is destiny 1705. Now it tells us above this slot here that in addition to a mission victory, a destiny victory, or an epic victory, which is complete in both. So essentially 3 different kinds of victories that we can do. We can do a mission victory, which is completing our mission. We can do a destiny victory, which is finding a destiny somewhere in the game and completing that. Or we can do an epic victory, which is completing both mission and destinies. But it also says, in addition to those, we can just define success through anything that we kind of pursue and achieve during the game if we want to. It's just the kind of game that's a bit of free form, and you can, it's just, you just enjoy the exploration of the game and define success however you want to do it. So I think we've completed our mission. We've got a building, which I would assume is a shelter. Our destiny that we've just got is to survive until help arrives. So it says whenever a player ends their turn, we can add 1 token to this card. If they do, they gain a token on their character card, and the game ends if there are 6 tokens here, and we get to read an entry in the Book of Secrets. So this is the end of our turn now, so we're going to choose to do this, because I'm going to try and... We've got our shelter. I'm just going to try and complete the destiny and then get an epic victory from that. So we're end of our turn, and we're going to add a token onto there, which also gives us a boost token onto our character. And then we're going to continue. So we've got 5 more turns essentially before the end of the game. So let's just go and find things to do. Okay, we're just going to move on. We're going to carry on going west. We're going to go to 693. So we roll 1 dice, which is a heart. We're doing the blue test, so we can just put this heart on there and then move to the west to 693. Here is 693. So this has this symbol on it, which matches the symbol on our card here. So we can put dice on this slot for any action that we take at this location, which is quite nice. The actions are to scale, to memorize, to persuade, to enliven, to capture, or to flex. It says, climbing roots mark this towering tree, which is even taller than the soaring canopy to the south. The sentients at its base invite you to apply for the trial of trees. I'm going to flex here. Just because I have tokens here to use, why not? Let's use the red action. And we've got red action slots we can use up here. So we're going to flex. Show off. So the red storybook, red overpower storybook, and we're going to entry 693. Oh, actually, because we moved, that was our action for that. That was our turn. So we should have added a token to the destiny for that, which has given us another boost. So we've got 4 more turns left. So we're going to 693 in here, which takes us to here. It's a 1 die test to flex for the judges. So we're just going to do 1 die, roll it up. We've rolled a time. We can put it here because we're doing a red test, which gives us another boost token for our character. Okay, what does this say? Flexing for the judges. The judges gasp and welcome you to participate in the trial. Continue with the move scale action. So now we have to do this scale action here. So, on to the move storybook. To entry 693. This is still the same turn. It told us to continue with this one. And we're doing a 2 dice scale to scale the alpha tree. Only if you have been welcomed as a participant in this trial, otherwise choose another action. But we have been welcomed, so we're going to do the scale action here with 2 dice. So, 2 dice. What have we got? We've rolled, a morale and a health. That is not good. I'm going to spend 2 tokens to reroll both of those. Time we can deal with. We reroll the heart, which is one of the symbols we already had. So if we reroll our challenge dice and reroll the same symbol, we gain a red token. So I'm going to gain one of those. I'm going to spend another token to reroll this heart again. We've got flipping morale again. My goodness. I'm going to spend my last one to reroll one more time. There's a blank. There we go. Right, so blank goes there. That returns. And we finished that. So, back to 693. It says, find card 536. It's a large card. Place it on the table and begin. You must chart a course using cubes to form a single connected path across the trunk of the alpha tree, starting and ending at the same knot. You will travel between knots in vertical or horizontal line segments, not diagonal. You may only travel between knots 1 time, never doubling back. You may not use all knots. The most venerated wood sentients live in this tree, each with a number carved on their door. To respect their wishes, your course must include the exact number of desired line segments around each door. See entry 693 in the Book of Secrets for the solution. Okay, I'm hoping this card will make more sense. So we get find card 536. So this is card 536, which is the tree with a grid of things. And doors with numbers on them. So it tells us we must chart a course using cubes. So we're starting down here on this spot to form a single connected path across the trunk of the alpha tree, starting and ending at the same knot. So we're going to start here and end here. You'll travel between knots in vertical or horizontal line segments. Not diagonal. You may only travel between knots 1 time, never doubling back. You may not use all knots. The most venerated wood sentients live in this tree, each with a number carved on the door. To respect their wishes, your course must include the exact number of desired line segments around each door. Okay, so we've effectively got to outline the doors with the number of lines indicated in that door. So this 0 door down here means we don't want to pass around this door at all. Well, this is interesting. Okay, interesting. Okay, so instead of using the cubes, what I'm going to do is plot out the map on this and use pencil to do this instead. So it's a grid of 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 high, 2, 3, 6, 6 by 6 grid. So we've got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Do this quickly. Okay, so we've got a start here. We can't have any around here. We need 2 lines around here. So effectively we can't go across and up because that would put a line next to this 0. So the 2 lines to go around this 2 have to be there and there, right? So we go there. We've got 2 around there, nothing around there. Again, from here we can't go across because that will put a line next to the 0. So we're going to have to go up from there. From here we're going to have to go left Because if we go up or right, we're going to put lines next to this 0. So we're going to go left there. Now this has 2 next to it. This one has 2 next to it. So from here we have to go up. So this one needs 3. This one needs 3. How can we make this work? We go 1, 2, 3. I think that's right. So if we go around here, that'll have 3 next to it. We go up and around there, that'll also have 3 next to it. And then we can do the 2 there. These 1s I'm a little concerned about over here. I'm not 100% sure how we're going to do that. But anyway, let's carry on with this. We're going to go there, 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 and there. And we're going to go across there for 1. So that's got 3, that's got 3. Do we come down here straight away? I think we have to. Yeah, we're going to have to come down here now. That's got 2. Okay, so if we go 1, 2, 3. No, we don't want to do that. That doesn't work. Because if we go 1, 2, 3, from there, I can't go down because that, yeah, so that I'm going to have to go this way around and go 1, 2. I think I have to go up. If I go across, that's got 1 and 1. Cross again, that's got 1 and 1, but then I got nowhere else to go because that's going to put too many lines next to that one. So I think I have to go up. That's got 3. That's now got 1. So I can't go across. I'm going to have to go up again and then come across this way. I can't come down that way, so I'm going to have to keep going across, come down this way. This now has 1 next to it. I'm going to come down again. This one has 1 next to it. Can't go across there. Come down again. Then can't go down because that'll put too many next down. So I'm going to have to go across there with the 1. So that's now got 1. That's got 1. This one needs to have 1, and then yeah. So we're going to go up there, across there. That has 1 next to it. Then we're going to come down here, down there, finish there. Everything should be right. So this is 1. It's only got 1 line. This one's 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 got 1 line. This one's only got 1 line. This one's got 1, 2, 3, which is correct. This one's got 1, 2, 3. This one's 1, 2, 1, 2, 0, 0. Yeah. This is 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, 2. Yeah, I think that's correct. Whew. So we go back to 693. It tells us that we need to look at entry 693 in the Book of Secrets for the solution. So, Book of Secrets, entry 693, which is here, and then we match this up. Is that what we've done? Yep, 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 down and around, then down. Yes, we've got it correctly. There we go. Fantastic. That was a nice little puzzle to do. Hopefully that came over well for you guys. So we've finished that. That can go back. So 693, the solution: succeed if your image matches this, which it does. If you succeed, gain item 1250 and an emblem representative of the wood sentience acceptance of you and your people. Also, if you have it, lose the wood curse, which we don't have. If you fail, we didn't. But yeah, okay. So we've got item 1250. This is item 1250, the wood emblem. Now, this has 3 dice slots up here, which we can only use when we've got these wood symbols, which we have at the current location. But the slots for all of the different symbols there for us. It says when placed, we gain 1 boost card on all cards that have this symbol on them, which is none of them at the minute, just this one. So our grid is full, so this has to go into our reserve at the minute, and we can later on spend tokens to add it into our grid if we feel we want to, which we might do. But that's the end of our turn, so we're going to add another boost cube to there and give us another boost cube on here, and then we can do another turn. So that was pretty fun. Which way do we want to go? Should we just keep going west? Why not? We're going to go to 692 now, which is west. We need to roll 1 die for that, giving us a return, which is fine. So we're going to 692, which is on the other side of this. Ooh, look at this guy. Looks like another one of our Blossom Hulks. And there's a little guy down here. So it says, what he's saying is, despite the daunting size of these animals, Blossom Hulks, Blossom Hulks are typically quite docile. To look them in the eye, try climbing into the tall canopy to the south. Might do that later, but right now we can guide, we can yield, we can coax, we can feed, we can catch, or we can hunt. Oh, by the way, we should have added a token after we moved, because that takes a turn. So a token there, and a token there. We've only got 2 actions left, so not much we can do, really. For my first action, I'm going to consume this plant, because why not? We've only got 2 actions left, so we're going to do 1 to consume and then 1 on here. So we're going to consume this plant, which is 1059. So we get the yellow take storybook and go to 1059, which says 1 dice to consume a berry. So yeah, let's roll 1 die to consume a berry. So blank, very nice. And we're going to consume a berry. The berry is plump and delicious, and you immediately feel a surge of adrenaline. You may continue with an overpower action, ignoring any time results on the challenge dice. Otherwise, gain 1 boost on this flora as a result of your deepened understanding of its nutritional properties. Right, so we can do an overpower action, which is to hunt on here as a free action, essentially. Or do we have any other overpower actions that we want to do? No, we don't. This is the only overpower action available to us. So, yeah, do we want to do that? Or it says we can gain a boost on this flora card, which I don't think we really need to do. So let's do the overpower action. Let's hunt. Do we still get... Oh, maybe we don't get to do another action on there, actually. Nah, I'll just take the boost token instead. I don't really want to overpower this Blossom Hulk. I've got a nice friendly Blossom Hulk here. I don't want to make them angry at me. So we're just going to take that and continue on. That's the end of our turn. Boost token on there. And a boost token on here. I'm going to spend one of these boost tokens to rearrange, to bring a card into my grid, because this blueprint is pretty useless to me. It doesn't do anything. So I'll take that out of the grid. Put that in, even though this doesn't really help me right now either, because we're not in a location that has that symbol. Although actually I think because we have the symbol there, we're allowed to use it anyway, because we have the emblem. We basically always have the wood symbol with us. So, final action of the game. What do we want to do? We don't want to hunt him. We want to be nice to him. Do we want to coax him, feed him? Should we feed him? Let's feed him. We're going to feed him. So we're going to take the green help storybook into 692. Let's feed our friend. 692, 1 dice to feed treats to the animal. 1 dice. That's a blank. Very nice. We're feeding treats to the animal. It says, if you have flora or food, which we do, we've got a berry. Let the animal nibble on part of it, then gain animal 841. If not, the animal feeds some treats to you, shaking some blue and red berries from within its leafy mane, gain a health. But we do have it, so we're going to gain animal 841, which we actually already have. So that's that. Ah, well. Not the end of the world, but that's the end of the game, because that's the end of our turn. We put an action cube on there, a boost cube on there, giving us another one there, which doesn't really make a difference. It says... the game ends if there are 6 tokens here, which there now are, and we're going to read 1705 in the Book of Secrets. The Book of Secrets, 1705, which is over here. It says, the roar of engines fills the sky as a rescue class vessel from your fleet enters the planet's atmosphere. You figured they would eventually find you. Choose a player to become the active player and perform one of the following actions. View the corresponding storybook for the results. Right, so we can now we can hide from the rescue, I'm assuming. We can navigate, we can greet them, we can praise them, we can hijack them, or we can target them. Now, hiding, hijacking, and targeting all cost 10 dice, which is probably going to make us lose stuff which we don't want to do. So we'll probably navigate, greet, or praise them. We're going to greet them, right? Let's greet them, welcome them with open arms. So 1 dice to greet. We don't have any orange tokens, so we can't change that, but that's fine, we don't need to. Our dice pool's empty, so everything gets refreshed. 1 dice. It's a morale. Can we do anything about that? I don't think we can. I can re-roll it if I wanted to. I don't know what benefit that would do. But I'm just going to take the hit because it's not going to make us lose. We'll just take 1 morale hit. So it says, greet the rescue team with gratitude and open arms, ending your adventure. There we go. We have built a settlement, or started a new settlement. We've welcomed the rescue team to the planet. That is game over with an epic victory because we completed our mission and we completed our destiny. That is the end of Vantage. And that's how Vantage plays. Very simple sort of rule set. All you have to do is take an action, read the entry in the book, roll some dice. But there's so much in here to explore. It's pretty crazy, actually. So if we have a look at the map again, so we were in location I. So we spent basically the whole game on the edge of this forest here, just walking back and forth along that forest. That's literally all we did this game, and there's so much more of this world to explore. It's absolutely crazy, which is really cool. The fact that at the beginning of every game you're gonna get a random loads of different missions that you could possibly do. There's random different missions. Then within that mission you're gonna randomly start somewhere on this planet. You don't know where, so you don't know where you need to go to start looking for what you need to do to complete the mission. There's just so much stuff in here. It's crazy. So it's going to be extremely rare that you'll ever have the same game twice, even if you have the same mission to complete, because you're going to be in different locations and doing different things. You're never going to come across the same game twice, which is really, really cool. The dice test is pretty simple. Like, you're just rolling dice and taking penalties, but the fact that you get to build your grid up to get more cards to be able to mitigate the dice challenges, to hopefully stop you from taking so much penalties, which is pretty cool. They come with extra abilities that you can do. There's loads of things in here that we didn't see that you can do. And you can just play this to explore as much as you want, right? You can just carry on going and just play until you have had enough, essentially, and you don't want to look anymore into the world. But it's just so cool. There's so much stuff in here to explore. If I show you the box here, so this is all of the stuff that comes in the game. So many cards. All these cards here are the location cards. So loads of them. And then all of these cards are the extra little cards you get for your grid and action cards and all mission cards or whatever they are. There's so many different things in the game. It's incredible. And it's just a fun game. It's just fun to be able to explore the world, do different things. You could, if you wanted to, just wander around the planet until you find something that contributes to your mission. We sort of stumbled across it this time. Like, by the time we had come to the Arches, where we built our embassy here, that's when we found out where we actually were, and we were already in the place that we needed to be. So we did sort of stumble across it this time. But you can, if you want a more honed direct approach, you can just research your mission straight away and then figure out where you are and try and get to where you need to go. Or you can just wander around and try and figure it out for yourselves, or just wander around and just have fun. There's just so much stuff you can do and play it however you want to play it, which is pretty cool. But hopefully you enjoyed watching the video. Hopefully you got an insight as to how Vantage works and whether that'll be something for you. Works really well solo. It's just an adventure exploration game. So yeah, it works really well as just a solo game. But yeah, hope you enjoyed it. Let me know your thoughts on the game in the comments below. Like and subscribe to the channel if you wouldn't mind. That'd be great. And I'll see you on the next video. Thank you very much. Goodbye.